Member recognized for any questions he may have for the panel.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me begin by just saying, as I said in my opening statement, I'm very concerned that this bill shortchanges the WIC program, a program that provides modest food benefits to infants, pregnant, and postpartum moms and their young children. And we appreciate the continuation of the authority to spend at a faster rate contained in the bill, but it does not solve the problem. If we don't provide extra money for the program, it will run out of money. And continuing to borrow against future months doesn't provide states with certainty as they make decisions on how to administer the program. States need to know the program will be fully funded for the year, or they could start turning people away. So, Chairman Adderholt, can you please tell us why the continuing resolution that the Republicans are advancing this week does not include any of the administration's requested money for WIC?
Thank you, Ranking Member McGovern. The CR continues the flexibility that is in the previous CR for the Department of Agriculture to spend at a fast rate of operations to maintain participation in the WIC nutrition program. USDA has already received about $2.5 billion for the program, which is in addition to any funding states already have available. If there is a need for more funding during the CR, nothing prevents USDA from requesting additional funds from OMB to maintain participation. If this becomes a problem, that's because the administration is purposely making it a problem for not allocating these necessary funds.
Ms. DeLauro?
Yes, if I might just say something, there was an emphasis here on how important medical research is and the kind of medical research that we do. But I think it's unbelievably shameful that we've cut $2 billion from the National Cancer Institute, National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke, the National Institute of Mental Health. These days is really incredible given what happened in the pandemic, and the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, which is what brought us through the pandemic. To address your question for the ranking member on the WIC program, interestingly enough, that was when we reviewed the anomalies, the WIC piece and the administration's request for funding for WIC is eliminated in this continuing resolution after you have said, if we do nothing to support the WIC program, this is going to mean that young families are going to be turned away from receiving vital nutritional assistance. If we don't include it in the CR, the states that administer the program will start to think that the program is not going to be fully funded in the final 2024 bill, may stop enrolling people. That potentially puts current beneficiaries on wait lists. We included some flexibility in the last continuing resolution to get the program through this month, but that isn't going to cut it moving forward. In 2024, WIC will need an additional $1 billion to continue to serve all eligible participants. As written, this bill does not include a penny of that. If we fail to demonstrate that the states that we are prepared to back them up with appropriate funding, we can look forward to pregnant and postpartum women and young children being turned away from food assistance. The states are not going to be able to serve all eligible participants with the amounts of nutritional support required by the law if we continue to ignore this at this juncture and without and kicking the can down the road as we're doing in this continuing resolution without adequately addressing the WIC funding shortfall. One additional point, the way the WIC system works, it's an eligibility priority system. When we run short, we start to look at tiers. There's priority 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So in priority 1, we begin to jettison those people who are at lower priorities. WIC participants who, without providing WIC supplemental foods, could continue to have medical or dietary problems. Postpartum non-breastfeeding women with nutrition-related medical conditions or dietary problems. Children with dietary problems like poor diet. Priority 4, of the following applicants with dietary problems like that infants, pregnant women, these people will be gone from the program. Yes, we will deal with a priority 1, pregnant women, breastfeeding women, and infants. Then we go to the various others. Children with nutrition-related medical conditions, or priority 3, which could be let go. Priority 2, infants up to 6 months of age whose mother participated in a WIC or could have participated and had nutrition-related medical conditions. What they do is to structure it in a way that says if the money isn't there, who goes first? Which kid, which infant, which postpartum, which individual, which person is without the nutritional assistance that they need in order to help them to survive. That's what this means.
You've made my
And
point.
I have to make one more point,
okay,
I do.
okay.
Funding levels for WIC threaten to drop 600,000 people from this program. And every day that we deny funds for WIC endangers women, infants, and child nutrition. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and I think it's a missed opportunity here. Chairman Adderholt, when Democrats were in the majority, my Republican colleagues demanded regular order. Now we continue to hear the Republican majority claim that they are proceeding with regular order, but it seems to be a different definition of what that term means. Every week we hear a different definition. So I think we can all agree, though, that skipping a full committee markup at the Appropriations Committee for initial floor consideration of a regular appropriations bill is highly unusual. In fact, we can't find any examples of it happening in over 20 years. So my question is, why did you skip the full committee markup on the labor HHS bill? Whose decision was it to skip the full committee markup, and do you think that was a good idea?
Well, obviously, in a perfect world, as I'd mentioned, we would have the full committee markup. But we have made a commitment to pass these appropriation bills, and we are in here we are it's November the 13th, and time is ticking by. And the ultimate goal is to pass these appropriation bills on the floor. And there is a couple of bills that we have had to take directly to the floor, and this is one of them. But like I said, in a perfect world, you're right.
Was it your idea to skip the full committee markup?
This was a decision by the committee to move forward, how to move forward, and Were
Democrats consulted in that, or was this just a Republican decision?
This was a decision basically by the committee itself, by the leader, the chairwoman Granger, to do it this way. But there was no objection for me because I felt like we need to move forward with these bills. And as you know, under our rules, when we were doing appropriation bills, you cannot be on the House floor debating appropriation bills while you're also in committee, because the members of the Appropriations Committee have to be on the floor to debate the appropriation bill that's been debated. So there is.
But that's always the rule. That's not a new rule.
No,
Yeah,
right. No, that has always been the rule. You're exactly right. And that's what I'm saying. I'm just reminding you that is the rule. So therefore, we have to stop taking appropriation bills forward on the floor in order to go back committee. So in order to expedite the process, and I think you would agree, we need to try to get these appropriation bills in regular order. And
but this is not regular. Ms. DeLauro, were you consulted at all, or did you know about this? Or
No, we only were told that this was going to happen, but in addition to that, as I mentioned in my opening remarks, they airdropped 5 new poison pill riders into the labor HHS bill. This was without any bipartisan consultation or by a vote of the committee. So in 2 respects, they have ignored the regular order and the process that we normally follow for these bills without any consultation with the Democrats on the committee.
So, Ms. Arrow, I think you said we can all agree that we should move these forward in regular order. I think we all can agree on that, but that's not what's happening. And so this is kind of truly an unprecedented process. Not only did you skip the full committee markup, but someone actually made changes to the bill before it came to the Rules Committee. So these changes were never debated in subcommittee or full committee, and Democrats obviously had no say in any of it. We don't even know which Republicans had any say in it, quite frankly. These changes were made behind closed doors by who knows. So much for regular order. You dropped in 5 new poison pill riders without any debate and with no one's name on them. So my question is, why did these riders get secretly added behind closed doors with no debate or discussion? And are you the author of the changes? You know, so
Well, ultimately, you know, this, being chairman of the committee, of the subcommittee, it certainly is, you know, I was consulted about this. And like I said, I agreed that we needed to move forward on these bills as opposed to completely stopping work on the floor on this other preparation bills. And ultimately, it's to try to get 12 distinct preparation bills out. And that's what the goal is. And like I said, in a perfect world, we would have gone through the full committee, subcommittee, full committee, but because of the, as you know, we lost the month of October.
I hear all that. I guess my question was, I mean, there were 5 new provisions that just kind of appeared. And so are those your provisions? Did you, I mean,
The committee decided how we wanted to move forward on it, but of course, obviously, it's here at the Rules Committee, and I know it won't go to the floor unless y'all approve.
And let me, okay, so we don't know really where these came from or who authored them or why they're in the bill, but do all the Republicans on the Appropriations Committee support this bill?
You know, I'm sure that just like every piece of legislation that comes to the floor, you don't have 100% from either party. But I am talking with a lot of the members of the committee and also the just ranking members that are on the in our conference to talk to them about this legislation and getting very positive response.
And will this bill actually pass?
Well, that's certainly
because
the goal.
I guess the question, I mean, if you know it's not going to pass, why are we doing this? I mean,
No,
we're bringing bills
I
to the
don't know
floor.
that it won't pass. No,
You
I'm
have-
optimistic.
You have a
that it-
whip, right? I mean, and there must be a whip count, or, I mean, or you must know whether
I don't
everybody on
think
the
the bill has
Appropriations
been
Committee.
whipped yet, so
Yeah, but do you know have you whipped everybody on the Appropriations Committee?
I have just talked to various individuals, and the members of the Appropriations Committee that I've talked to are supportive for the most part. There may be 1 or 2, and of course, obviously, you might lose 1 or 2, but I'm optimistic at the end of the day, we'll get them.
I have no further questions.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Gentlelady from Minnesota is recognized.